Hi guys, and hope you're doing well. So I want to talk to you about how to read the tender analysis, and what we do, we get 4 or 5 or 6 tenders. You might get back 3 or 4 tenders, and then apples for apples, and I've kind of talked about this before. You want to use a bill of quantities. The reason you want to use a bill of quantities is you can compare like with like. So to do that, if you don't, and you start, you'll find they've mispriced something, they don't include something. I got one tender recently, and all the tenders were coming back around 510 to about 525 in that range, and one guy was 350, and automatically we're thinking, well, I was very frightened because it was too low. But when I went through the tender, there was so much missing from the tender. By the time I aligned it, he was at 520 and sending the wrong message, the wrong flags. So I really, to do a tender analysis properly, it's best off if you have the documents to do it, and that is a bill of quantities, and then you can transfer and analyse the information from that. So a friend of mine, very funny lady, gas fun, great fun. She's a highly clever woman, lovely woman, and she said something to me profound, and that was, you need to do something, you need to work at something that puts something in for your head, your heart, your soul, and your pocket. I was thinking, wow, and it's always kind of stuck at me, that saying. So it also transfers to analysing what you do and analysing what other people do. And you and the tender, I love doing this, I love tender analysis, I love seeing the trends, I love seeing the backup, but the reality is it's only a snippet, and this snippet needs to be done in terms of their personalities, in terms of their capacities, in terms of their organisations, in terms of their personal dispositions, in terms, did they go to the site, what's their actions, and in terms of the wider financial capacity. Most quantity surveyors don't, most QSs don't. I do an analysis of their overall financial situation as well. So this is a proxy and a time and a snippet of the here and now, but we need to be exponential with it as well. I love doing them because you get to see great trends, and it gives you insight, and it gives you insight into the pricing policy, but it gives you insight to the behaviours as well. So what is the tender analysis? It's a line by line comparison. You can do that. You can actually go and you can analyse 450 lines against each other. But by the time that you get up to 450 multiplied by 5, you're up to 2,000, your head is mush. And the reality is you don't do that. You take their bigger quantities, you take their preliminaries, their demolitions, their groundworks, and you compare them to see a trend. Then after that, what you do is you then get down to analysing where they are in comparison with each other, and then after that you deep dive into 1 or 2 that are preferential, and then you do the 450 lines, and then you got to go back and compare them against what you actually sent them. So there's a lot in it, and even after you're finished that, you still got to look at personality, you still got to look at relationships, you still got to look at values, you still got to look at personal dispositions, you still got to look at their portfolio, you still got to look at their financial capacity as well. So you got to look underneath the hood, and while this is great fun and I love it, it's only part of the game, and that's the bottom line. And if you're going to part with even no amount of money, small money, no, if €5 feed some poor devil by the side of the road, no amount of money, small money. So you need to be analytical, but you also need to be, and you actually need to be emotional. You do. This is one of the situations where you need to invert and actually be emotional, and you need to check in on your emotions, and you need to check in your values and see what's appropriate and are you aligned to the person. I once did a construction job, and lovely lady, but we weren't aligned, and everything was a battle. Everything was a battle, and even getting finished up and getting paid and everything was a battle, and we were just not compatible. Just not compatible. Woman met me years ago, gave me a hug, gave me a chat, asked how the kids were. They were all doing wonderful things, but we were just not aligned, and these things happen. So what it is a line by line comparison. At this stage it's the overall headline. The line by line comes in the next stage. Why does it matter? Because the cheapest is not always the best value. There can be gaps as we need to analyse it. What does the QS do? We go and we flag outliners, we look for trends, we look for dispositions, and often the guys that we're tendering has already submitted previous tenders, so we kind of know what their patterns are. So you can look and you can see in this instance, this is just a random one, and you can see the lowest, second, third, fourth and the highest, and you can see square meterage, and we know what type of finishes they're having. So this may look great, but this may be more realistic to actually get done what you want. In this case here, this is an outlier, and you're kind of looking at these three guys. That's the way that I'd be looking at it, and I'd be inviting all three of these guys to come if they haven't already come, which in itself sometimes is a little bit of a red flag, but because you give them the capacity to come and view the site. And it's not a great, well look, guys get busy and you can't judge it, and some don't get involved until they actually get to this stage anyway. So red flag number one, the preliminaries. Preliminaries are overheads, and this can look like a red flag, but in reality this could just be the way that their QS prices it. Some of them are heavy on it. I've seen one where a guy put 120 grand in, and he was the preferred tender, put 120 grand into preliminaries, and he lost the job. And he was ideal for the job, but he lost it because it looked like to the homeowner that this guy was putting a huge amount into his overheads and not to the work. Lost the job for $500,000, and you just go, wow, you know, should he have been given the job? Not the way he handled it, and that's just the brutality of it, because each one of these guys is paying somebody like me money to get their tenders together, and after a while that all adds up. Second red flag, mechanical services. Biggest red flag for me isn't this. It would be that if somebody had this in on a PC sum. That would be the biggest red flag. That would be a bigger red flag to me than this amount. Why is it a PC sum? And I've no problems at this stage if it is a PC sum, no problems. But you want a fixed sum before signing the contract. End of story. Once people sign up, they know what they're signing up for. Having said that, we are entering a period of inflation, and I will be doing a video about that as well, how to handle that as well, guys. So the next red flag is windows and doors and things. This isn't so much a red flag, it's a little bit of an indicator, because this is usually PC sums. So this is divided into three items: windows, the external doors, and then differential from that is the roof lights and internal doors. So you need to see how they price these things. This is often a PC sum, but it can be an indicator, because 50% of all aluminium units and profiles, PVC, all raw materials are come into the country by the same supplier, and another 20 or 30 are coming in from the same country. All of something like 80% is all coming in from Germany. 2 factories down the road from each other in the Ruhr Valley. So the materials are more or less the same coming into the country. So quality is sometimes perceptional. Having said that, I've now come across a Polish company that, well, not really Polish, well, yes and no. The product's Polish, the guy's Polish, but it's imported into Ireland and he fits them. He's a good guy. And then you get the warranty. They're one of the biggest in Europe. So certainly, and this is something you want to start the buying process really early. Next red flag, external walls, brick, block. No matter how high you see it in tenders, it always seems to cost more. Just one of those things that goes up. So while I would look at this and go, these guys are all grouped and this guy's high, subcontractors could be higher, and that's just the reality of it. Red flag, total spread. What's the gap? What is the gap? And you can see this guy's the highest, these guys lowest. You can see the total gap, and you can see it's more than 20. Speaking of one biller, great guy, and that's his model. His model is to subcontract work out, and he subcontracts it out. It takes a huge amount of pressure off him, because he's got somebody else who's at the coalface effectively financially rather than him, and he can differentiate. And if the payment doesn't come in, doesn't have to, payment doesn't come in on Friday at 5 o'clock exactly, he can wait till next week, but the guy he's subcontracting can't. So, but he manages them really well. He does brilliant work. The model works for him, but that means the prices can be higher. And what it actually means is he gives you a great management role. He manages the construction process brilliantly. So it's not for everybody, but it's certainly highly efficient if the budget allows it and the work is second to none. So everybody does it slightly different, and that's part of the judging process. This is a limited view in time. This is factual. So in this, we'll take out all of the elements, and you've got about 18 elements, and we will start to track who's the lowest on each element. Okay, then we'll track the spread. Then we will get to the end, and what you'll probably find is the lowest guy. So this guy's the lowest. He'll start to have the most green ones. Okay, and then you start to see a pattern from there, and then you need to go in deeper, as I said, and see, is this actually possible? Is it possible for him to do this for 33 grand? And it may be, but you get to a stage where you want a deep dive. Often the homeowner wants this guy because of the cost, but you need to be analytical. And on top of that, then you need to do backup. And I did one job, and there was well, I haven't done it yet, but I did one analysis, preferred guy, everybody happy with it, and then I came in and rocked the boat, and nobody was happy with me because I did a deeper dive into his actual turnover. And turns out the guy, no names mentioned, the guy had gone bankrupt 3 or 4 years ago. He had formed a new company using the same bank, and he had lost on average about 80 or 90 grand for the last 3 years. So somebody may get a price, but effectively they're playing Russian roulette, that at some stage this game of cards is all going to break down. So yeah, so it's not just what you see here. This is only a snippet, and if this is the extent in the analysis that's taken place, you can't stand over it. So what should the client do? If you're doing this on your own, you don't automatically pick the lowest. You query, because now you got a comparison. You write an email and you query, and it's not an intrusive email. You something along the lines of, "Thank you very much for your tender. We noticed that in certain elements your preliminaries or your demolitions seem higher than current rates. Can you please review these and get back to them?" So you open up a dialogue. You confirm like by like, which is this is the basis of having a bill of quantities. It allows you to compare like by like. Then you get a recommendation, but that's only, as I said, you need to do their head, their pocket, their heart, and their soul as well. So this is the first start of it, and if you need a tender analysis, well, I go beyond that. I do a deep dive. I try to already know the guys, even guys that I know. You still need to do a deep dive on them. You can't, because things change. Thank you very much for sharing your time. Appreciate it. If I can help in any way, let me know. And if not, I wish you all the best. Thanks guys, really appreciate the time. Thank you.